We're 7 people who come from all different walks of life. From the very beginning, it was like, we need to treat this as serious as a heart attack. So we're going to nail it. We're going to do it forever. But we also can't take it very seriously at all.
What was the feeling you had when the feeling went viral?
Oh my God.
Sammy Rae is the fearless leader of Sammy Rae and the Friends, the high-octane collective with over 100 million streams, a Billboard charting debut. Let's pull back the curtain.
I put all of my life savings into the Good Life EP. I didn't look for press. It got picked up by Spotify, Discover Weekly, 26,000 streams overnight for the feeling. This last tour, we got to play the Stone Pony, which was crazy. The night before, 2 nights at Terminal 5, like 3,500 people a night.
Wow.
Go put a smile on someone's face. Tell us what that is.
It's how we send everybody off.
When you say that, you see the tears, you see them flow.
It's the last thing we say in the show. As you're leaving, go put a smile on somebody's face. Go tell somebody they got a place in this world. Go tell somebody you want to be friends with them.
You need to know Sammy Rae. She's not just built a band, she's built a movement. She's the band leader of Sammy Rae and the Friends, the genre-defying collective that's turned every gig into a full audience sing-along. I've been there several times to witness it myself, from sold-out shows at Red Rocks to a party limo rescue on the side of the highway that you're going to hear about today. This is the heart, the hustle, and the high-voltage energy behind 100 million streams. So get ready. You've got to hear it, and you've got to see it to believe it. Sammy Rae, welcome to Americana Curious.
Thanks for having me. Wow. Geez, that was really something.
Oh, and we're just getting started. First important question. When did you discover that you could do the high kick and started adding the high kick to your performance?
First of all, it's an optical illusion. Second of all, there is a show that kind of lives in infamy in all of our heads, which was at Rockwood Music Hall, Stage 2. May she rest in peace. She's no longer with us, Rockwood 2. But this was a venue where anybody could play. And if you could put enough people in the room. And that show, we played the little room for like 30 people. And then we played the little room for more than capacity, and people were waiting outside. And then we got to play the big room, and we sold that out. And at that big room show, so much happened that has stuck ever since. The mantra of go put a smile on somebody's face, go tell somebody, they got a place in this world. That just fell out of my mouth. And from every show on, we've been doing that. Maybe the kick was born there, but a lot of what happened at that show, the energy in the audience was just so amazing. And it was a big number, right? It was like 225 people. And at the time, the band looking around being like, they know the words, they're buying the merch, something really special is happening, and it's starting right now. So much of what happened at that show, obviously so much has changed. I mean, this is years ago, but we filmed a lot of it, and so much of it has stuck, including the mantra and probably including the kick.
So just for our listeners that might not be so familiar, go put a smile on someone's face. Tell us what that is, because I know what it is, but you say that. When do you say that?
We say it at the very end. It's the last thing we say in the show. I introduce the band, and then again at this show a long time ago, just out of my mouth came, as you're leaving, go put a smile on somebody's face. Go tell somebody they got a place in this world. Go tell somebody you want to be friends with them. And it just stuck. And we did it I remembered it, and we did it at the next show, and then it became just commonplace. And now it's at this place where the band does hits, and I'm singing it, and the band is hitting chords, and it's a huge part of, it's how we send everybody off. And if I'm trying to kill time for the band to come back around to the hits, I'll say something like, we're going to send you off the way we send everybody off all over the world. So that's kind of our mantra. The hope is that you can walk in and like feel that energy and take all the energy that you've got when you leave and go do that. Go make somebody smile. Go make somebody feel like they belong. Go tell somebody you want to be friends with them. It's not all that scary, What's
the response you get typically when you say that at the end of the show?
At the end? Well, they go nuts and they cry because it's the end. It's the end.
They don't want it to be the end.
Well, I noticed tears twice now. So I've seen you twice perform, and it's people are cheering, like they cheer with a high kick. I'll like to hear more about the high kick too. Like the response. But that when you say that, you see the tears. You see them flow.
Well, this is a thing that is more hard sought in certain areas than others. And you can see wonderful music any night of the week, high caliber professional acts in New York, in Nashville, in LA. You can see them all the time. Chicago even. But when you start getting into the like Birmingham, Alabamas and the Columbus, Ohios and the Minneapolises and the Lexington, Kentuckys, this sort of experience that we bring, which is very welcoming, very affirming, very everybody's invited, very much, we're 7 people who come from all different walks of life and all different corners of the world. And we're just having a great time, sharing our talents and like engaging in play. Like from the very beginning, it was like, we need to treat this as serious as a heart attack. We're going to do this. We're going to nail it and we're going to do it forever. It's going to get bigger all the time. But we also can't take it very seriously at all. And that environment where you're watching professionals that you might so admire because of how the music has, meant whatever the music's meant to you in your life, which is so humbling. I think to be actually in the live space and watch us doing the thing. We are a band that you have to see, not even see to believe, you have to see to understand it. So much of what we do is in the live space. And that's really hard sought in certain areas, especially of the US. In certain areas of the US, it's hard to find any sort of environment, musical or otherwise, where you can feel that sense of belonging. And they're just wonderful people. The audience is they're good people who want to have a good time and like make the world a better place and like be good to each other. And I think so much of that, by the time we get to the end of the show, we're crying.
They don't want it to end.
They don't want it to end. And I'm glad you mentioned Birmingham. I live in Charleston now, but I grew up an hour south of Birmingham. And I made a mental note on your live album, which major props for that album.
Thank you.
You chose to highlight several of your performances at the Saturn in Birmingham.
Please, you want me to talk about that show?
So what was happening in that show, Sammy? Because there is something, you just listen to it and you're wow, the Crimson Tide. I went to Alabama. We say Roll Tide.
Come on,
I don't
Roll
think the Crimson
Tide.
Tide. They don't have anything on Sammy Rae in Birmingham.
Oh my gosh. Happening? Okay, so here's what happened. About maybe, I'm going to get this wrong, maybe like 90 minutes outside of the Saturn. We're in between nowhere and no place else. And the bus breaks down. So we were supposed to get to, we drive overnight. We were supposed to get up and do a very early radio show in Birmingham, which none of us were excited for early. Like, you get off stage at 11, you're not winding down until 1 a.m. We had to be up and out at like 8. And then we were going to go to the show, which was very nearby. So I wake up, I have a feeling that it's late. I look at my phone, it's 10, nobody woke me up. I listen, I immediately hear that I'm on the side of the highway. And I go out onto the bus has broken down. We have to get off the bus. Our bus driver's doing the best he can. We're on the highway and we're waiting for somebody to come fix the bus. It's going to be a couple of hours. So the band walked the highway. We walked a whole exit, maybe a mile on the side of the highway to get to a gas station so we could use the restroom and get food. And as we're walking, these 2 lovely stray dogs come out of the woods and start following us. And they follow us I swear to God, and they follow us this whole mile. They wait for us outside the gas station. They walk with us back. And then shortly after we get back, we realize there's no solution to fix the bus in time. We have to get to the gig. Now we're pushing sound check. The only thing big enough to get us there is a party limo. So a party limo pulls up to the side of the highway, and the whole band and crew gets in the party limo. We wave goodbye to the dogs. We wave goodbye to our bus. We get to the Saturn.
Saturn
Luck,
Lounge.
we sleep on the bus, obviously, but we were so lucky because the Saturn is one of the very few venues that offers accommodations for artists.
Ooh,
So
I didn't
we
know
were
that.
able to spend the night there and have a really cool sleepover in their amazing like green room. So there was this energy of the bus was broken down. We almost didn't make the show. We got to the show in a party bus. We had these random mascot dogs that were following us all day. And we also, it was our first time playing a deep South show like that, or kind of that size. And, you know, we're a group of individuals. It's a multiracial group. Some of us are queer, some of us are not. And one of our players is from rural Alabama. And there was this sort of energy of like, guys, I don't know what we're going to get out there. We're with each other. If anybody doesn't feel okay, I've got a good gauge on that. Make eye contact with me. It's going to be all right. Play a great show. And we got out there and we couldn't have been more wrong. It was the highest energy, most excited audience that any of us could remember in a very long time, and probably of that entire tour. So when we got to listening back to the live shows and we're picking what was the best Talk It Up, what was the best this, what was the best that, it was like Saturn.
That's amazing.
There are a lot on that album.
Yeah.
Run
Yeah.
that
And
up.
it's a small venue. It's one of the smaller ones on the run. It wasn't a huge venue, but it sounds like one of the biggest rooms on the run because the audience was so high energy and we had this crazy energy of the day behind us, and we nailed that one. We really nailed
Yes.
that one.
I'd like
Yeah.
to say, I
Sammy Rae effect.
like you were saying earlier, you're a different experience, Sammy Rae and the Friends live than you are on the album. You can't wait. What'd you say? You can't believe it until you see it, kind of thing.
It's almost like people are like, you know, it has to be seen to be believed, but it's more like it has to be seen to be understood.
Understood. Gotcha.
You know, because
So,
some
and
of
your
our songs
motto-
are pretty far out.
Yeah.
And then when you see it live, I think it just makes a little more sense. And we build out space, and there's jams and solos, and
And
to catch the whole vibe of being in the room. I think you better understand it if you can see a show.
Sure. And your motto is inclusion through normalcy, which
Yeah.
I love. Tell me about that kind of motto that you and the band have taken on. Because
Yeah, totally.
me and Ben met 9 years ago at Brandy Carlisle's Girls Just Want a Weekend.
Come
One
on.
one of the most inclusive. Yeah, we were there with our wives, and it's the greatest vacation ever. I met my best friend forever here, and we just bond over
And
music.
now we're talking to Sammy Rae.
Yes. So, I mean, we believe in this cause and this sort of thing so much. And I want to have our listeners help more understand it. If you
Yeah.
can.
First of all, I would love to play that festival. If you have any strings to pull, start pulling.
I
Because
don't,
we've been trying for that
unfortunately.
one for a while.
Well,
I would
we-
love
We did
to.
write your name down
could.
every year.
We could.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad you've had such a wonderful
You'd be a great
experience.
fit for that festival. I mean, you would
Thanks.
rock
Oh,
that
yeah.
stage.
Thanks.
Come on, Brandy.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah, she'll get a hold of this. She'll get a hold of this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Send it.
You know, the late great Paul Rubens, who is most famed for his Pee Wee Herman, huge inspiration of mine, big hero of mine. Talk about somebody who commits their entire life to their art piece, and talk about somebody who is so committed to the fearless pursuit of their authentic expression, right? Adult play, that sort of energy. He gave hope and optimism and just joy to so many people in so many ways across so many age brackets and corners of the world and everything. And he's got a quote to something to the effect of the best way to make a big deal out of being inclusive is to be inclusive and not make a big deal about it. I'm probably butchering that, but the gist is, you know, his kids show, especially his Christmas special, the cast was heavily people of color. There were openly gay and openly queer actors and crew members that he was employing that nobody else would employ. And it was never with this banner of, look what we're doing. You know, everybody's invited and you know, it doesn't matter who you are, just do it. Just do the thing, employ the people, tell the stories, have the folks whose stories you cannot tell their own stories. When you have privilege, just provide a platform, and that's it. So, while we do have a very diverse band, and this band is fronted by a queer woman, which I think is a rarity in and of itself. I would rather everybody, especially women, fear this like female band leader was so good on stage as a girl thing. You know what I mean? And I would just rather like blow your mind with the show. And then when you leave, maybe it dawns on you. And that was fronted by a queer female. And everybody on that stage was working together so well. And we saw all these people from different corners of the world and different walks of life and different ways of coming up and studies of music even coexisting in a really cool way. And the hope is that you can just see that and think of it like an example of how you would like your life to look a little bit, maybe. Not to be like, oh, we're so, not to be like we live this perfect life, but hopefully you come see the show, you see what's happening, you see what we're making, you take a look around at the people around you. And that's just what it is. It's normal. It's normal. And it's real life. I mean, this is the world,
Right. And you, instead of just saying, oh, that was a female, wow, I'm shocked. You go, that's a kick-ass band, no matter
Come
who's
on
up
now.
there. Right.
Come on.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, I did
idea.
hear, and tell me if I'm wrong, that it took a while for you to kind of find your authenticity or trying to be authentic on stage. Is that growing up, or is that even a true statement? I don't know.
I mean, I think it is to a degree. In the beginning, I mean, I don't remember encountering any female house engineers, sound engineers, venue owners, forget about it. So to walk in with the band and it's such a male dominated industry, and to walk in with the band, and at the start, it was me and five gentlemen. And it was, no, I'm settling. I'm writing the check. I'm settling merch. You're paying me. You can shake my hand, and that's what it is. And I think in the beginning, when it comes to presentation, I definitely was in efforts to kind of protect myself, maybe muting my femininity and trying to go in as male presenting as possible. I felt like I was like in order for me to be a good band member, a good band leader or a good business owner, I had to like play the role of male, which is dumb and not true and not important. And it was not until, a little while later where our talent and our numbers started to speak for themselves. And I felt like I didn't have to think so hard about every word I said or how I dressed when I walked into the space. My talent, my business spoke for itself. I remember having an experience at a small venue. In the very beginning, we had to cold email everybody. Hi, I'm in a band. We're interested in playing. We didn't have a team yet, right? And I was kind of reaching out to a booking agent at a venue and advancing the show and everything and signing everything Sam, which I figured they would understand that I was Sam of Sammy Rae and the Friends. And when I got there, before everybody else, this guy was like, oh, are you one of the singers? And I assumed, I didn't know what he was talking about. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, oh, well, Sam was so cordial on email. I can't wait to meet him. Oh. And I was like,
yeah.
I'm Sam. And oh my God, I'm so terribly embarrassed. I'm so sorry. But that was a moment for me where I think, because it was so early in my career, I think that was a moment of me being like, oh, okay, well, if that's what's going to be getting me taken seriously, I have to walk into the space and like cosplay as man. And then eventually I was like, that's dumb. And I was able to feel more comfortable just getting on stage not pretending to be or do anything, you know.
Mhm.
People can smell it if you're being anything less than your fullest self. And same thing with like, you know, I remember like seeing some of these like female artists. There's like so much that goes into creating the look to get on stage, and the costume changes and the hiring the makeup artist and all this different stuff. And that's not a bad thing. But I remember looking at that and being like, oh, if I try to do that before every show, I'm going to be exhausted. I'm going to quit when I'm 30. And the only real way to be able to do this forever is if I'm getting on stage as fully and truly as I can as myself. Otherwise, I'm going to get tired. The audience is going to smell it and be like, oh, well, that's not really real. I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the way that you've designed your business and your music around something that you can be every day, or most days at least, in terms of bringing energy and, hey, this is the Sammy Rae way. And then one morning you wake up and you see that you have 26,000 downloads of one song.
The feeling.
What was the Tina? So what was the feeling you had when the feeling went viral after putting up with all the BS of the venues? And
Take that.
Well, I didn't really at this time have any real scope of what was happening. To give it to you super short, I went to school for 1 year of college to study sound engineering and audio technology. I thought I wanted to be a sound engineer. And then I realized that that was not my calling, and I freaked. And I was like, well, I'm also interested in kids. I'm going to go study to be a childhood educator. And that was my intention. I was going to become that. That moved me to the Bronx. And within a semester, I realized I was out of my element. And suddenly I was in New York City, and I left college. So I kind of ended up in the scene, in the industry at like 19, 20, while a lot of the rest of my now peers were still in college. So I was kind of just like asking the mentors and the studios, the handful of people I had in the industry, what I should be doing. But I put all of my life savings into the Good Life EP and put it out with I didn't look for press. I didn't know what playlisting was yet. I wasn't trying to get any like ad spend or anything. And that was the first one to kind of take off. It got picked up by Spotify, Discover Weekly, and it was like 26,000 streams overnight for The Feeling. I didn't really know if that was good or if it was going to lead to something I couldn't handle. And there was a catching up period where like the EP release was a blowout before the EP was even out, because a single that came out before the EP had gone bananas. So it was a very, and again, I'll call back Rockwood because it had this very marked sort of level of growth where you play Rockwood stage 1, which is like 30 people. And then you play stage 2 if you can fill up Rockwood 1. And we played 1 for like nobody. And a couple weeks later, we played 1 and it was so packed. There were people that couldn't get in that had their like arms on the glass watching the show from outside.
That was Zach.
And I'm looking at my bassist and music director who co-founded the project with me, James Quinlan. He's been around since the beginning. And we were kind of like, you going to let us play 2 now? And then we played 2 and it sold out like that.
Yeah.
And then here comes, let's actually release this EP and see what happens. But that happened so fast that there was a lot of like fumbling and not knowing what to do. Like we had all these streams and all this traction, but we still had 40 capacity rooms lined up to play. So it was exciting, but it was a lot of, I have no idea what to do with this. And it was truly because of Spotify Weekly. And very often I think sometimes this is kind of off color. I don't mean survivor's guilt, but I watch a lot of bands spend a decade trying really, really hard to build an audience, and they put everything, all of their energy, all of their finances, all of their time into it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't happen for them. And what happened for the Friends instead was, with no effort, it was picked up by this playlist. It started to snowball and become its own thing. We bypassed the whole chapter that some bands spend their whole careers in, which is opening for people. We just bypassed all of that. And suddenly we were headlining Brooklyn Steel.
Right.
So it's hard sometimes to be like, how did you do it? How did you get started? And my answer is always like, well, I got lucky. You know?
I hear that, but also, and I have a question this kind of leads to, you had a lot of courage to make changes in your career. Off what it would sound like you had a couple of a little bit safer career plans in place, and those weren't working for you, and you had courage to make the change, and you had courage to put that EP out. And you put a lot of money into it, and it doesn't work out for everybody. But if you don't have that courage to go for it, you might be in a lot different place.
Yeah.
And,
it was a whole thing. It was like, I was in school. I was my parents had worked very hard to give me an opportunity to go to college. And my mom's first generation American. So there was this like, you have to go to college and then you could do what you want to do. But I was so viscerally unhappy, and I knew that I was spending time and money on something that wasn't going to serve me. When I decided to leave college and move to Brooklyn to do what? To start a band. Yeah, but to wait tables and like canvas for HelloFresh and hand out flyers, right? That's why I actually left college. That's how I was paying my bills. The intention was to make a band. But I had to take that huge leap of faith, and it was very difficult for my parents to swallow for a while. I grew up in a very, very small, close-knit town. I was kind of the first generation to leave. So the perception of New York City in and of itself was just harrowing. And it was a hard year because I had made that choice on my own. So I had to pay my own rent. This is my own money, my own choices. And it was really, really tough. But it started to take shape. And I think in addition to getting lucky, the thing that worked the best for me is I was seeing as much live music as I possibly could. And if I liked somebody, I would just take them to coffee. I would just be like, I really love your bass playing. I really loved, you in front of this band. I really love this. Would you like to get coffee? And then in doing that, it would either become, I'm trying to put together a band. Would you like to play with me and see if it's a fit? Or it would just become, you were great. Yeah. Yes. Or it would just become, do you have a connection at Baby's All Right? Do you know the booking agent at Mercury? Do you know anybody who works at, Power Station Studio so I could get a buddy rate? It was just like I was forcing myself into the industry and making friends, making genuine connections. But it wasn't going to just happen for me.
Yeah, you were hustling, and that's
Hustle. Yeah. And I have a question. I have a couple of questions. I was doing some investigative work.
Let's go.
From some super fans.
Oh God.
Including, shout out to Evelyn. Evelyn lives here in Charleston. She's a high school student.
Sweet.
Goes School of the Arts. And she has two questions. But the first one, she's like, walk us through leaving college, hustling multiple jobs, and convincing Flux Studios to record you. And so I'm wondering, you kind of walked us through
question
this.
that I've come up with, and
There
there
seems like some life and career advice, perhaps, speaking to the generation, or really any of us who have a dream to pursue, based on what you've garnered along the way.
Yeah. I feel like when people ask me this question of like, what advice do you have for the next generation? I could give like the really fluffy answer of like, don't give up. And that's definitely an answer. But there are some harsh realities that you need to be ready for. Like, you're going to be told no a lot. Your emails are just going to get lost in inboxes and unanswered, but it's just the natural law of the universe. It's the law of attraction. If you send out 4 emails to 4 venues and you expect all of them to get back to you, that's not going to happen. If you send out 100 emails and expect 10 of them to get back to you, 10 of them will get back to you. You really just have to kind of fearlessly sell yourself, and you have to believe it, or nobody else is going to believe it. So the most important advice I could give, and this is kind of hard work. It's important work, but it's very hard work. You got to get right with yourself. You have to figure out your thing has to be your vision has to be so clear to you that you can explain it to somebody in a couple minutes or a couple sentences and they get it. They got it. That makes sense to them and they take a chance, right? You got to do the hard work of getting right with yourself. And you also have to, in general, do hard work. If you're still waiting tables after 2 years, maybe it happens in year 3. But if you give up, you'll never know.
I love that.
You know, you got to stick with it. You really do. I waited tables and handed out flyers. I was nannying. I was like a sample girl at Whole Foods. I worked all kinds of dumb jobs, but I was funneling all of that into making sure my band got paid, even if it was $25 per show, so they would stick around.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Evelyn also asked on a different note, tell us why water and lakes spark your songwriting.
Oh my gosh.
What's the memory behind that ritual? I did not know about this.
Good
Have you ever
question.
seen? Have you ever seen a lake?
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
I live in Minneapolis.
Is this a
There's
trick
10,000.
question, Sammy?
No, I had the fun. So here's the funny thing. I think the short answer is I've always it sounds a little woo woo, but there's a sort of like frog energy to me that I identify with heavy. I think the frog has I love to be, as a singer, I need my environment to be like damp and warm and humid. I need that. If I'm in
South
Denver,
is for
or if
you
I'm
then.
if I'm in
We're your
Denver,
people
or
down here.
if I'm in like Phoenix for more than 48 hours, I get literally sad because I'm drying up, right? But
Interesting.
I really, really need to, I'm really attached to water. Also, okay, so a frog comes out of an egg as a fish and then stops eating, absorbs its own tail, sprouts legs, and then starts living inland and grows lungs. That's crazy to me.
They're superpowers,
So
just like you
I've
guys.
always really identified with like the life cycle of a frog. I can't really explain that, but there's something just very cleansing, I find, about being in a body of water. And I find that that's the ritual for me. Other people have different rituals, but what we do is so stimulating on the road. It's so overwhelming. I'm very easily overstimulated, and I have to find little ways to kind of like squeeze out my sponge at the end of the day. But at the end of a tour, it's like weeks and weeks of, if you take all the frills out of it, I am standing on stage for 2 hours while thousands of people make eye contact with me and scream at me as loud as they can.
That's
you know?
accurate. I was one of those.
And then at the end, sometimes I run into fans and they share personal stories, which can be really moving, but really emotionally hard to handle.
Do you have one that may stick out? Because I was going to ask, I know you meet with fans afterwards, and so you must have thousands of these stories, but is there maybe
I
one in
do.
We
particular?
hope we're not overwhelming you with the overwhelming question of that.
No,
I know there's
just,
got to be some amazing ones. It's like,
yeah, well,
Do you mind
every
if we
time
take another couple hours with you?
I'm with you, please, I'm with you.
okay.
Well, anytime there's a kid, that's great. When a kid is like, I love Whatever We Feel, that's our favorite song. I've tried to approach writing back to this like energy of play thing. I tried to approach not all songs, but a lot of songs with the prompt of like, write it so a kid could understand it. Because if a kid could understand it, anybody could understand it. So that's where Whatever We Feel came from. That's where Saw It Coming came from.
Okay.
And that's kind of where If It All Goes South, the song, came from.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll tell you this one in brief. I met a young lady who told me I can't remember if they were longtime partners or if they were married. She was with a man who struggled a great deal with mental illness and his mental health and depression. And he had come to quite a few Friends shows, and they were always a bright spot for him. They were always like a really uplifting moment. At some point, he had written a gorgeous letter, and people leave letters at the merch table, and then they come back to me. And he had written this gorgeous letter expressing his gratitude. I get a message from her a couple months, maybe a year later, which is, I can't recall if you remember us. We met you. My partner, unfortunately, has passed due to suicide, and he's no longer with us. I want you to know how important you were in his life and your music was. And that was really touching, and I felt really, really humbled. And I'm not kidding. A week later, we're doing the clean out of the storage unit. We're doing a big sweep. And I come across a suitcase that I haven't carried with me for a couple of tours. And sometimes so many bracelets and pins and notes and stuff, I just put them in the pockets and stuff. And I was emptying out this suitcase, getting ready to throw it away because it had broken. And I found his letter. It was the only thing in that suitcase. I found it.
Whoa.
And I read it. I was so moved. And it has been in my bag ever since, every show, every tour.
Oh.
And I had written a song years prior with another project about the importance of advocating for men's mental health called David. And that song was reimagined for this band, is on our record, Something for Everybody. It's called David. And come to find out, that gentleman's name was David.
Come
Come
on.
on. I mean it.
So what?
Oh.
Unbeknownst to me. So I carry David's letter with me. It is with me at every show, in every tour. It is with me in Europe. It is with me in South America. It's always with me. And I didn't even realize I had written a song about him years before my band even existed. And it's for him every night.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you
thanks for having me, guys. It's been great.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
That is
Yeah,
amazing.
that's a big one. It's a big one.
It shows so many things. It's just like, if we believe in the power of the universe, we believe in karma, we believe things will shake out, and there are connections if keep our eyes open to see them. And you've really, I mean, what an inspiring way to see the world and experience it. Before we started recording, you were talking about turning to each other and the Friends ethos. Just share with us maybe like where this idea, just like when it emerged for you, and also where do you hope this will go in the future for Sammy Rae and the Friends?
Well, from the time I was very young, I knew that I wanted to be a musician, and I knew I wanted to be on stage, but I knew I wanted to be a band leader. I never wanted to, or be a part of a band. I never wanted to do it on my own. And even to this day, the only times I ever get even an inkling of nerves before I have to get on stage is if I'm doing something alone, which I do as infrequently as possible. And the very beginning, yeah.
This has been a big episode with all your friends.
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny. I mean, it's for a number of reasons. But when I really got hip to like songwriting and like bands, I grew up on just like classic rock, like Fleetwood Mac and the Doobie Brothers, and also like hard rock, like Kiss, and like AC/DC, the Stones, but it's the same, the Beatles even, it's the same players every time. And a big one for me was Bruce Springsteen in the E Street Band. Now, there's a band with a million different sorts of people, and for the most part, it's the same band members, and everybody's got their own superpower. I mean, Kiss is a good example. They're literally like their own superpowers, right?
Yeah.
And I knew that I wanted to do that. I wanted to form I mean, it sounded so cool to me. We're going to travel around the world and make music and hang out, and we're all going to be friends, and like every night's a sleepover on the bus. It's a little more than that, but it is also that. And I didn't have a lot of friends as a kid. I had a hard time making lasting friendships. And this thing sort of came to me as I was trying to imagine this band when I was really young, when I just got to the city. And I just kept getting this image of like a cool lunch table where there's always the same kids there, but if you don't have any place to sit, there's always an empty seat and you can come. Like the lunch table I always wanted. And so as the band started to fall into place, it was so much about vibe. It was so much about the hang, because you could be the most killing bassist in the world, but if there's no vibe there, it's not going to work. And we were so clear from the very beginning, the intention with this thing is longevity. And the way that you get something to last for a long time is you've got to treat each other like family. Because like siblings, because friends, you fight, you can move out of each other's lives. If you fight with your brother or your sister, you don't get to just kick them out of your life. You have to communicate to make it better, because you're going to be, there's my cat, you're going to be together, right? So it was always from the beginning, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. We're going to do it for a long time. And communication has to be key, because we're a family. And that worked for some folks, and they stuck around. And some folks in the beginning, as I was just, playing a couple shows with people and then trying somebody else, that was not the vibe. And they were like, I'm here for my check, or you don't play enough jazz, or, I don't want to travel. I don't want to tour. But from the very beginning, people are like, what's your goal? Like, what do you want to do? Like, what's your goal? And to sum it all up, I'm just like, I want to be a legacy act. I want to be 65 and people still want to hear our old songs and our new songs, and we're all still around. And that's always been the vision. And so in that, we take care of each other. We take care of ourselves. We take our work very seriously. It only really takes one short van tour to realize that tour is not a party. Tour is work, So that was always the goal, long term, and treat each other all right. And these 6 are my dearest, my closest, most beloved friends. And when it gets tough, we have no choice but to communicate, because it only works when we're all in lockstep. Otherwise, the shows suck. We haven't been here before, but if it were to happen like this, right? Yeah. The shows would be bad. The music would be bad. The hang wouldn't be fun. And so I guess to answer your question, I've always wanted to have a close-knit group of individuals that people could grow attached to, rather than, that's where the name comes from. It's kind of a play on that, because I used to go see like I always give the example of like a poster of like, tonight is Jane Doe and Friends. And Friends is 2 lowercase letters, and it would be Jane Doe and whoever was available for that gig. And they would get their nod at the end, and maybe she would say their name, and that would be it. But I'm like, that drummer is so good. I need to know everything about that drummer. And so to kind of nail the point home that we are a band and you're going to see the same players every show. We are equals here. It's not Sammy Rae and Friends. It's not who is available for the gig. It's who has been walking with me this whole time, Sammy Rae and The Friends. In retrospect, the best band name in the world? Maybe not. But
I love it.
Pretty good.
I love it too. And I think it makes you go, what? I need to know more, So that was always the idea. Friends, but we mean it.
Let me ask, are we always friends, or are there creative differences with the band?
Are you
Does
doing
Sammy maybe get
Enneagram,
2 votes
everybody?
at what
So
sometimes?
funny.
Or
Well, luckily there's 7 of us, so
Seven.
a vote
Yeah.
usually solves it. When absolutely necessary, I can have an executive vote, but that very infrequently happens
Yeah.
because as time has gone on, and it's a really unique process where we're all arranging and we're all producing. This is 7 individuals who, in their own right, are talented producers, arrangers, writers. Half of us are experienced mixing engineers. Some of us are songwriters. There's a lot of voices, but we have figured out over time this sort of what is the Friends genre. We just call it like that Friends. We're like, that's that Friends. That is a language that really only the 7 of us can speak, but we're all fluent in it. So while JQ might want to play this bass line, it changes the chords such that that horn line, which Max and Kellen can play better than anybody in the world, doesn't make as much sense. And therefore, JQ's gonna have to adjust because it detracts from the overall the Friends of it all.
Gotcha.
It detracts from the ability to let everybody shine. Or somebody will go, suggest a chord and it's like super far out and it's great and it might serve the song, but it's not within our ethos. And as time goes on, people just don't make those suggestions anymore. Kind of every suggestion that comes out of everybody's mouth, there's this internal process of like, how am I going to best let everybody around me shine? How do we make it sound authentic to us? What is it going to feel like live? That's huge too, because to digress for a second, when I wrote The Feeling, I was standing still in a sound booth singing the most complicated melody I could imagine because I had never been on stage. So I had no scope that one day I might have to do that while jumping in place in front of 5,000 people. So that has informed our writing and arranging over time. What is going to translate well live? So it really infrequently do we, at least creatively, butt heads.
Good.
Yeah. And we'll always, if we do get to that place where we're wasting time and spinning our wheels, somebody will go vote and then we'll vote and that'll be it.
I feel like that sensibility that you have and how you've formed a band to work together it sounds very jazz, where people share, they have a look at each other, right? They're riffing and they're building. And I know that's your roots, right? You were jazz and it's you make that crazy trumpet sound with your mouth, like you're playing trumpet. It sounds like a trumpet. There's like 3 horns in your band now.
Do you call it like a scat? It's almost like a scatting
I just
sound.
call it the mouth trumpet.
It's so unique, and that's what I love about this.
Who in jazz, just for people that don't listen to jazz, who were the standards that really inspired you? And do you feel that coming in, like to your band, that ethos of how we share, how we create together?
Of course. Well, yes. Who was really influential for me? The big one was Ella Fitzgerald. And I think it was just I was like 16, 17 when I really started to get into her discography. And I realized for the first time in listening to her that the voice was an instrument, the way that a saxophone is an instrument.
Nice. Okay.
And there is so much you can do with one word, depending on whether you use vibrato or you don't, or where you place it, or whether the vowel is dark or it's bright.
Give
There's
us
so
an
much.
example of a word.
Yeah, like.
I'm talking to Sammy Rae, Zach. Not Zach.
She does when she does in her version of All of Me. There's here's the melody. All of me. Why not take all of me? And then, the second or third times it comes around, instead of going, all of me, she goes, all of me? Why not take all of me? And it's like, by the time we get to the middle of the song, she's like, how many times do I have to spell this out? And instead of just going, all, she's going, all of me.
Oh, wow.
And little things like that. Or you could just, who does this really well too is Stevie Nicks is great on the, she just does this like, ooh, sort of thing. And it's like one note, no word, but she sings 4 different vowels and it sort of like blooms and it's really decorative and beautiful. And when I heard Ella, I was like, oh my God, my voice is an instrument. I can do whatever I want. Because previously I was singing like musical theater stuff and like choral stuff. And choral is the opposite. This is what an O sounds like in choral. This is what an A sounds like in choral. So to realize I could kind of do whatever I wanted, I had a choral teacher actually in high school who said, you don't sing words, you sing sounds that sound like words. And that was really transformative and really came home when I was listening to Ella. And then I realized I could do whatever. I had this talent to like safely do this growl thing. I learned how to safely, use vibrato in a way that could be beautiful or comedic if necessary. And I think that sort of sensibility when thinking about being a vocalist is very jazz. And also, in this band of 7 of us, 4 of us have master's degrees in jazz.
Oh, I thought you were the one. So they multiple jazz.
Yeah, they all have master's. Yeah, yes, actually, and this is something that is well documented, and you can do all the research you want about this. There's an offshoot of the Friends called the Enemies, and it is the 4 members of the band that have jazz degrees. So that's the bassist, the 2 sax players, and the drummer, and they do super far out avant-garde reimaginations of Friends tunes. And they've played maybe like 3 or 4 shows. Oh, and it's a joke. It's like very jokey too. It's a bit, we're the Friends, so they're the enemies. They wear dumb little capes and, they like pretend that they're evil and they play this really killing jazz, which leaves myself, Debbie, and Will, the 3 vocalists and 3 front people. We don't have jazz degrees and we refer to ourselves as the acquaintances.
Dear acquaintances.
Love it.
Yeah.
And is that one of the things that strikes me too, is when you choose to cover a tune and amazing interpretations of those ones. The first one that really hit me was when I heard you do Everybody Wants to Rule the World. And I heard that a completely different way. But you didn't believe. I mean, you brought some magic to that sheer tune. Even Thanks. Going into Friends in Low Places. Your new one, Lay All Your Love on Me, just came out, right?
Yep.
How are you selecting these and reinterpreting them? Like what's your hope in doing that? Because you have so much great music of your own. When you choose to bring one in, that's a big decision.
So it's actually very strategic. When it comes to like Friends in Low Places, we're in the Deep South. Friends is in the title. We play it. It's fun. Certain shows we have like one-offs and like special, let's play this song or whatever. But in terms of the songs that we take on and play for a whole tour or decide to take into the studio, it's actually quite strategic. I was raised on classic rock and like dad rock, if you will. And so those are the songs that I always want to reimagine. I want to reimagine Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Hotel California and, Stones tunes and stuff like that. And as we started to play those live, we started to get this great response from sort of like our middle-aged audience. There weren't very many of them, but like, 50-ish and up. As we start to grow as a band, we're now able to play larger venues, and larger venues more often than not are all ages. So when suddenly the all ages crowd came in, now 14 and 15-year-olds are coming to the shows, but they don't come alone. They come with their parents. And so the parents started
That's
to
what we
get this
did.
huge response.
Yes.
Right. So the parents had this huge
Tell you my
response to
story.
these songs. Exactly. And I made this decision that we were going to commit to that. And we don't cover anything that was released after 1980 ever, because it creates a cool bridge between the older generation and the younger generation, where the younger generation is going, oh my God, my favorite band covered That's All by
Right.
Genesis. And the older generation is going, that was like, I had my first heartbreak to that song or whatever when I was in high school. And it creates this cool bridge. It does two things. It's a thank you to the older generation, and it's a bonding moment for them. And it's like a thank you for coming out. And it also creates retention. So once we sort of like made that commitment,
Wow. Yes.
we've seen now so many middle-aged and up folks coming on their own and coming with like, you know, their 4 girlfriends. And it's like, you know, the young college-aged queer folks who really want to belong somewhere are coming to the shows. The 30-year-old musicians are coming to the shows, you know, our peers. And then also there's this older generation that really digs what we're doing because we remind them of the bands they saw when they were young, and we cover those songs for them.
Wow.
It's
So
the
we do
Friends
whatever we
ethos.
can we do
You're
whatever
doing
we
it for
can to
your
keep
friends.
it. Realistically, I'd like to keep it before 78.
That's the demarcation line.
Yeah. But there are, so, you know,
I know that. have you
Believe
ever
is a
thought
little
of-
bit later. Every now and then we play one that's a little bit later, but we don't take anything on for a whole tour or record it unless
Have
it's
you-
that old.
I know Bruce is a big deal to you. Have you ever thought of putting one of his out or anything like that?
So we haven't put any thought into recording and releasing it, but one of the first covers we ever did was 10th Avenue Freeze Out.
Oh, so
And we
Lords, you got to.
oh my God, please. And we dusted that off because this last tour we got to play the Stone Pony,
Oh.
which
no,
was crazy.
Legendary.
And it was like, you know, it's the East Coast. So we're playing Boston
Yeah.
and we're playing New York. And it's like either the night before or after was like 2 nights at Terminal 5, like 3,500 people a night. The Stone Pony fits maybe 400 people. And we're all right on top of
Legendary.
each other. But that, yeah, it's, I mean, I can't die without playing the Stone Pony, you know?
Good
And
for
so we played that at the Stone Pony. It's on YouTube in full. You should watch it. It was really crazy.
I know what I'm
Look
doing
at-
tonight now.
Yeah, oh, you'll love
Putting
it. It's
in the
one of
show
my
notes.
favorites.
Sammy Rae, you have really rocked Americana Curious.
I just want
to
to
the
say one
highest degree
thing.
today. All right, Zach. Yes.
One last
Yes.
thing, and this is
Yes.
just a thought. I cannot frickin' wait till see you at Newport Folk, and I'm so happy that
Yeah,
I
talk,
can't
talk
wait.
to us about what that means to you. Are you processing that?
I am
or what?
stoked.
It's a big one. It really is a big one. It's special to whenever, first of all, whenever we're invited to a notable festival like that, it's always feels like an honor, particularly when we get invited into, how do you say, like to sit at a particular table, because
Yeah.
we
Big one.
exist so outside of genres, so that when like the folk community is like, come do a set for us, we really appreciate that and rise to that occasion. When a jazz fest invites us out, we really rise to that occasion, right? And so to have such a legendary festival, number one, want to have us there, and number two, look at what we do, which is a culmination of so many different cultures and studies of music up in this big melting pot, and recognize that as folk, which is a descriptor we've always put on our music.
Right on.
Folk music is not just, you know, acoustic instruments in the hills of Appalachia, and that's a huge part of what it is. But folk music is, you know, the culmination of people's music. So to be invited to that is really special. And additionally, we were gifted with the honor of having sort of, they're not calling it like an open set, but they were having quite a few special guests up. So it's kind of like a collaborative sort
How
of
about,
set.
will the enemies be making an appearance? Or,
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Did the enemies get
Can you
invited?
imagine? Please. The enemies, when the sun goes down, if I don't be really firm about bus call, they turn into the enemies. It's like the gremlins. You can't feed them after midnight.
I'm
They
gonna
turn
start
into the
packing my
enemies.
bags tonight. I can't
Yeah.
wait for
I
this.
can't wait either,
Just
man.
like in the most recent Bob Dylan biopic, this is going to be a key one for Sammy Rae and the Friends. Like when your biopic
think
comes
so.
out, they'll be like, and then they played
Yeah.
Newport and they finally went electric.
I hope. I can only hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
They're
Wow.
like, they're too much fun. We must unplug the sound.
Yeah, sure.
She's too awesome. So close this out. I'll just turn it over to you right now. Any party message or anything that we didn't cover that you want to share?
We kept her far too long.
No,
This is a good one.
No,
Sorry.
listen.
Long and good. It's good.
First of all, I will talk until I'm shut up. So I'm a talker. Okay.
Well, thank you for
it's,
that.
It's not your fault, of course. And I love to
has
talk
been
about stuff
amazing.
I care about. But no, I said it all. Thanks for, if you haven't been out yet, please come on out. Jokes aside, there is really something for everybody. I think you'll dig some of it, if not all of it. It's hard not to at least walk away having connected with some of it. And if you have been around, this whole thing is always been because of the community on that grassroots sort of tip. So thank you for being a friend. If you have been a friend, and if you don't know yet, come on out. We would love to have you.